Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. We're going to try some, kind of tried and true finishing techniques, processes with the new stamp line. I'm still, very much in the experimentation stage with Nature Set number 41. Love using it. And there's all kinds of different kind of methods that are coming to mind that I want to see applied to this new set of images. And I'm seeing just a lot of different ideas on places like Facebook mainly of how people are using the set. And I really love what I see. One of the latest things is that, I used it here in a snowy type of terrain, but I'm seeing more people utilize it that way. So these white trees become kind of more of like a snow-covered, frosty, icy type of tree. And I really love that look that I'm seeing from just, different people. I've seen the new set in some tags and on some different papers and in different color schemes too. And I think one of the things that I just haven't tried enough of are these trees just in various colors. I've been doing them like all like a yellow golden tone or something like that, but I need to do like yellow and orange and red in the different trees, intermingling some of those colors too. But I haven't done that enough, and you see that out in nature, so it's nothing that's going to be kind of like an unnatural look to those large trees. It is really amazing when I see some different photos of them. But take a look at, Google it sometime, and then just click on images, and you'll see these beautiful large, forests with all kinds of different super vibrant colors. So a lot of investigation ahead. Hello, Julia, Sheila, Bonnie. Glad to see everyone. Hope you're having a great holiday season. I hope you had a great Christmas. And wow, it's like the last Friday Night Live for the year. So anyways, the Oregon coast and Willamette Valley. I was just writing to someone too. I don't know. Was that you? I can't remember here. But we were talking about different papers. Shilly, was that you that was asking about the where you get the glossy cardstock? Well, Michelle, how are you? But yeah, I was telling someone in Oregon. If you're ever in the Portland area, there's still a Kelly paper there, for all these different papers and cardstocks. You have to buy it by the ream, but if it's one of those basic type of papers, like a semi-gloss or something that you're going to be using a lot, that's a pretty good way to get it, because you can also look at the papers, in-house. They have the samples up there in Kelly paper. That's in Portland, So if people are in Oregon, if they ever make it over there. Okay, I'm going to try one of those kind of like Chinese ink painting types of scenarios here. I always love doing it with this little, like a red sun or something like that, setting sun, rising sun, or whatever, and kind of this watercolory look. And I want to do it with these ones here. This will be a perfect type of setting with these waterside types of images in here, and then we can create a lot of extra depth. The one thing I like doing about this type of look right here, this kind of more spare look, is that you can put a bunch of space in between your items, which is a really cool look to it. Usually I'm stamping my main imagery and I'm connecting it up with grass textures, rock textures, etc. But this is a look that looks perfectly fine, having all this kind of amount of separation between the objects, which I find really cool to do. It's just, I don't know, it's just kind of a different way to do it. And these things look really cool, kind of minimal, in terms of your color schemes. You could do it with, more colors though, I guess. I've typically gone kind of, gone kind of spare in terms of the color schemes with this type of structuring right here. I do tend to do these, this ink painting-ish inspired type of scenario. Vertical, you know, like those scrolls. Or, I don't know if I think they're paintings, but you also see them in like wood block prints too, I think. Sometimes that vertical format, like, you know, it's like the first slimline scenarios out there. All right, so we'll put some of these in here and we'll build it up, and it's like this little, I don't know, watery, I don't know, whatever you call it, inlet or something like that. Let's see, use the right side here. So we use the left side on the right side, and we'll use the right side of the image on the left. Let's see. How's the weather on the Oregon coast there? I need to make it out there again sometime. We had in-laws in West Lynn for a while there, and we used to go up there it was like this time of the year every year, and we'd be up there for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And one time we went over to, I thought, let's go to the coast. You know, I haven't been on the coast since I was like a kid, and I don't even remember it. And so we went over to Newport, and we drove up the Oregon coast from Newport, and I forgot the route, but then we did that Tillamook factory tour and stuff like that, you know, which is really cool, but would have been better if I wasn't lactose intolerant, you know. But yeah, that was a great trip. I love that Newport, Oregon. There's a lot of places in Oregon that I love. Ashland really made an impression on me and my dad. My dad and I, when we were driving up from Southern California to the Puyallup, Washington stamp convention one year. I drove up. That was the only time I drove up, and I started flying up after that and just shipping all of my booth. Okay, so we stamped those two larger items down below like that, and we'll stamp the large cove like right in here, so it'll go right in here. I don't want that center line to be like perfectly centered there, so I'm going to go, I think, a little bit below, or you can go a little bit above that. Okay. When you set your kind of horizon line right at the midpoint of something, I think it kind of from a compositional standpoint, it seems a little bit too centered or something for me. I like it a little bit more off center. It's not going to be rule of thirds, but it'll be a little bit just less, I don't know, kind of static. Unless you're going for something like, you know, specifically, you know, super balanced, and, you know, where you want to emphasize everything, you know, equal, you know, and centered and everything like that. So, which I usually don't do, though, unless I do that if I'm working sometimes on like a square piece of paper, which again, I hardly ever do that. All right, so let's see. Let's go about. I'm going to try to go a little bit lower, I think, right here. And what I'm going to do after this, gosh, I haven't used my black watercolor. I don't know if I'll go with the watercolor pencil, but if I have it handy, maybe I'll do some of that, because it kind of makes it a little bit extra washy for that ink painting look. All right, and then we'll do some background trees up here. And let's see how that should go. Here. I normally put this right on the horizon of this, but maybe I'll have them back up in there, like, you know, like you know, these trees are kind of amongst the clouds. So this is where it's a little bit different in, you know, typical structure that I'm doing in scenes. You know, we're creating that space, and it's kind of that negative space that, you know, is kind of the whole point of this type of scenario here. So as I think we were talking about that in one of the live streams recently. We were talking about negative space. So, I mean, I'm not thinking of it. I'm not overanalyzing it too much, you know, and like planning it or something like that. But you see, when you stamp out your items in here, what you want is you want these spaces in here to be, you know, you try to make them kind of interesting spaces in themselves, and that creates that kind of that equal or whatever harmonious balance in your thing, you know, spaces. And again, not every piece has to be that way, but this one's all about kind of breathing and space. I don't know, you know, like it's almost like Zen, you know, or something like that. You know, there's other scenes that we do where, you know, it's all about, you know, on the opposite end of it, it might be like these monster maps that we do with like the Halloween types of imagery where everything's just like packed. It's like a Where's Waldo type of scenario with, you know, imagery. It's just really packed in there. Where it's like a, you know, it's almost like a game, you know, it's like a, you know, it's a discovery of little things hidden, you know, amongst the noise, the visual noise in there. Fun visual noise, though. All right, so that's going in the background like that. And we'll do some more up here, like that. Let's go with the smaller one, since we have it. And I'm leaving some space up here for that sun, because that's going to be an important little element. Hey, Linda, how are you? How's that, any news on the Canadian Post? I got an order from Canada today, and I was answering. I almost forgot about the live stream here. Well, momentarily, because I was geeking out on someone was you know, they don't know about mounting unmounted rubber stamps, you know, and getting them to stick to things like their MISTI. Okay, so here's a question for everyone here. If you know a good answer to this, but I've never used a stamping platform before, you know, a MISTI or a Tim Holtz type of you know, tool. But has anyone ever used one of those platforms with either tack and peel or something like oh, the clear stamps, you know, the gel plates? And I've seen it used, and you know, I've pointed people in the direction of these videos, especially where they're using the Purple Onion clear stamp. I think it's on top of their MISTI. And the Purple Onion clear stamp, I think it's just like a gel plate, like a speedball gel plate. Okay, like I think they call it a clear stamp too, on a platform, right? But I don't know. Someone told me before that, and I saw someone use it on a video today. They used their tack and peel, you know, which is kind of permanently adhered to my block, I thought. But she somehow made this, you know, the permanent side that stuck to the block, like, you know, really strong. But she was just peeling off the tack and peel. So she somehow made the other side, this, you know, super tacky side, like the adhesive side, less tacky, and then she applied that to her, you know, her platform. So she just, this piece was removable on her MISTI, on the video that I was just watching. So I was getting, like, you know, whatever, mesmerized at that process right there. I was thinking, how did she get that tack and peel, you know, so untacky? But I don't know if anyone knows kind of the answer to that. I don't know, maybe put it down there so I can tell them, you know, how that process is done there. But I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know, maybe someone commented on that video. It's right here on YouTube. Someone did that. But I didn't see, like, when I typed in tack and peel and like stamping platform or Misty, you know, nothing came up like right at the top. You know, it was just like how to use tack and peel in general. Okay, so I'm building this up. I am doing some overlapping here now. Okay, just getting some extra, so what's happening here is there's a little bit more space. See, there's like some space in between the closer elements. And then when I start moving up here, it's like moving off into the distance. So the distance in height between the objects, it kind of decreases the higher you go because you're looking farther back into the distance like that in, in whatever theory or concept like that. So here, let's go like this. Now, I mean, if I wanted to, again, take a little bit more time with this one might be cool to do these trees in different colors in this kind of whole foggy, kind of misty scenario here. Okay, so we're really going really, hopefully, nice and light and gray with this one, like that. Okay. All right. So what do we use? 1, 2, 3, 4 images. So it's like the 4. I didn't use one of the large pieces right here because these trees right here are kind of larger than these ones right here. So I didn't want to go like large, super huge background trees when these ones right here are smaller. So, so I just bypassed it to the whatever the third and fourth and fifth size, as opposed to like the third one right here. All right. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and add this in here right now, and then I'll come back. This is a little bit moist right now, and I'll finish that off later, but let's do this little sun type of thing. Just a 1-inch hole punch right here. I'll try to create, I try to create this transitioning, glowing orb in the sky, kind of in what they call it in graphic arts, they call it a split fountain. It's where you do like a range of tones, blended tones from the bottom up. And you can do this with whatever. It would be, I just do it in inks, but you can use something like, people that do like pan pastels or something like that. That would probably be really cool. Okay, let's see here. Okay, you've been waiting to try it with your Tim one, the platform there. Oh, hello, Marta. Main 30 degrees here at the moment. Did you get any stamps, etc. for Christmas? I'm scrolling up here. Yeah, that Canadian Postal with that lockdown. If anyone was getting anything from whatever stateside here, that wasn't happening. I shipped something up to someone via UPS, but I think even that got delayed because it says like, I don't know, it's like something like error or something like that. They didn't have the tracking number even, so. I don't think UPS got lost. I think it's just maybe they're inundated with shipments, or maybe just even regular mail. Okay, what I'm doing right here is I'm kind of like squishing down a piece of paper towel here. It's just your standard paper towel here from, whatever, Costco. And this is going to be my colored element within this scene. Okay, so one of the things with transitioning colors is often the lightest color, covers the entire object or area. It's like if I was doing like this and it was going to be in like an aqua blue color or something like that in these areas right in here, the lighter blue would cover up the entire areas, and then the darker ones would just be on the edges, okay? But the lighter blue is underneath everything. And that's the same thing for everything. It's like sunsets or anything like that. If yellow is my lightest color and then I follow it up with orange and red or something like that, the yellow is underneath those oranges and reds. It's not like separate applications of, different colors, okay? And that's how I like to create kind of a layered, depth within the given color schemes or objects, okay? So anyways, so what I mean by that is I'm adding this yellow down over that entire area, and then we'll go with, I think I usually like to do it lighter on the bottom and then darker as it moves up, I think. So bottom lit kind of. So we'll go to this, like an orange, like that, okay. And it still has some of that yellow in there, of course. So it's a little bit of a fusion of the two. And then let's go down here like this. I'm gonna add it slowly, like that. It's kind of hard not to go down all the way. It's like, oh my God, just got rid of all that yellow. So kind of put on the brakes when you get about midway. But you still want a little bit of it transitioning. You don't want this hard kind of edges on that. I mean, I guess you could if you want it really graphic and, linear, but then, I don't know, something like Copic markers or something like that would probably be a better tool for that. And then red, like that. You can see that red on there. Like that. And then you get that transitioning split fountain. I don't know if this is called split fountain when, you call it split fountain when you're doing silk screening. That was always our favorite technique to do in graphic arts classes, I think, for most people. You squeeze out different colors of ink on the screen, and then you put that squeegee down. You mix it up a little bit, and then you rake that across your screen onto whatever you're printing on, and it gives you those transitioning tones like that. So, all right. So, anyways, this is not done. The whole thing about this one is it looks really cool with a little bit of shadows underneath it. We can do that with like water. I would do it with a watercolor pencil. I'd do a little bit, and then I'd wet it so you get that kind of real washy kind of shadows like that. And then we go back into it with the white pigment ink in here, and that'll give it this really atmospheric look. Okay. Well, let's hold to do that right now because I don't want to come in here with any kind of like water because the tips of these trees right here are a little bit wet. I don't want to smear them right now. Okay. I'm thinking about that 30 degrees in Maine there. I always tell people I'm always daydreaming of Maine, but I'm daydreaming of that like in the fall weather or I can't remember when I was there, like summer probably. All right, so we have that foundation right there. Let's go in, and I wanted to try, I haven't done something a long time. I'm not going to re-ink my gold right now, my gold Memories ink pad, which looks pretty good if you go gold on gold and then white. But I'm just going to try some white on gold right here, and I want to see if that gives it a really elegant look. It's like something, in the lines of this one right here, that blue foil that was used last week. And I really like that look there. Look at that, with those little stars in there like that. And I don't remember just doing those kind of reverse impression types of things, white on gold in a while. But these ones right here, I like doing these little tags. If you do these like in little squares, you can stamp it on the diagonal like that with trees or something like that. And you can, do a little, I would mount it. Or you can do like 2x2 ones. Someone reminded me of doing like tags on Facebook. I thought I need to do some tags. I'm going to do it here, but let's put some of the technique onto this one. But you can do a little punch right here and make these little ornamenty types of things, or just like I said, tags. And that looks really good with the white on gold. Some of these, you don't even have to do very much more than that. And that makes a pretty good statement because the gold itself changes a lot of colors. Hello, Jeannie. And let's see here. Stampscape. You have Stampscapes in the mail. Does she have Stampscapes in the mail? It's Canada to Canada, Canadian to Canadian. They can mail that way, but I don't think the U.S. mail is sending up anything to Canada right now. At least not trackable types of things. You could maybe drop something out in the mail, and it would, it'd get in the queue or something like that. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Sharita. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I can ship up there. Linda wants the set 41 here. If that strike went on for too long, Linda, we'd have to somehow provide you with like digital versions or something like that you can compose on like Photoshop or something. Sharita, I need to get something off to you. I've had it on my desk. I think I keep needing to get that back up. Sharita sent me this. She had a question on a composition and how to blend her imagery together, and I did it in one video. Then I was like, I forgot to send that back to Sharita, and it's like, okay, I keep forgetting like week after week again. But okay, I need to get that out. Now I got all these new designs. Finish where? Got Sharita's piece somewhere over there. Sharita did this really cool layout, and I just integrated it for her with some additional like shadow work, and it brought it all together. But I really love doing those types of things because it's kind of like a collaboration piece, and a lot of times people use the stamps in just a different way than maybe I would have thought to. So I get a lot of ideas from people on compositions and things like that from their online posts. So everyone start posting. Some people don't want to do that. They say, I don't want to do that. It's like, people are too advanced on those, the group or something like that. And yeah, some of us have been stamping, for decades or something like that, or doing scenic stamping for decades. But sometimes some of the best ideas come from like people that are really new to it, as long as they're not, self-conscious of it or something like that. But it's like, okay, they just use that stamp in just, a completely different way than I, normally would have thought to. So, you get really good ideas a lot of times. Or they might try some kind of, media surface combination that we, might not have known. Or they might be a stamper, like a, accomplished stamper that have been doing, certain types of techniques. And they just apply it to scenic stamping. So it's like, hey, we never thought about that, We need to get some like foiler, people that do all those foil types of things. I'm doing this on the foil right here, but those people that do those foil things, like you can do those. I forget what those called. We call them. There's this one guy back in the '80s that did this foil graphics, and you stamp something out in this, right? Is it in those Versamarks or something like that? Then you stick that foil to it, and then you peel it off, right? And whatever is done in the I don't know if it's a Versamark that you're doing it in, but and it would stick to it, and you'd have those foil impressions, or it would look like foil impressions. I don't remember anyone ever doing that. Oh, you had Amazon driver strike in Oklahoma. That's not too good, especially how dependent we are on Amazon these days. I thought that was just New York. I thought they went on a strike there, or one of the hubs did. Let's see. All right. Foil, longer impressions with the brilliance on foil, okay? Especially with this real mirrored style of foil. It's very sealed off. The Recollections one is a little bit cheaper. It's more textured and porous. which in our case it's good because the ink sticks to it a little bit better, but this is real mirrored, so it's really super dynamic. So hold down, and what it's doing is it's allowing the Brilliance ink to set up a little bit. It's not drying on there, but it's just getting a little bit thicker, okay? So you allow that to happen so you get more of that transfer to happen, okay? And it's not pressing harder in it to get it to transfer better because it's not penetrating that surface. So if you press too hard, you might be pressing into it, and it's like pressing all the ink out on the side, so it's less is being adhered to it. So just do some test prints and then see, how it's looking, and the different types of foils can be different. And how inked up your pad is too can make a difference at times. So keep those in mind like that. But just, it's anytime you get those papers, or a lot of you have a lot of papers, that you've been collecting, right? If you've been stamping a while or scrapbooking. And it's like, hey, I got a lot of these papers that I haven't tried out. And I'd recommend trying them out, especially if you're a scrapbooker and you have all these different types of pattern papers. I was looking at Amazon, speaking of Amazon, and looking at these. There, how I use those wood grained placemat papers. They're 11 by 17, but I cut them down into smaller pieces. Not like this side. This one's a scrap right here, but that wood grain paper. But there's these like marble looking papers, really cheap, because they're disposable placemat papers. But it's stuff like that. But what I'm getting is they got all that type of thing. A lot of people in scrapbooking have a gazillion types of papers, pattern papers with all kinds of stuff. Could have like whole pictures on them too, and you can treat them like almost like photo stamping. But yeah, those pattern ones like marble and everything like that, I think those would look really cool. Especially if you kind of keep it in theme sometimes. You stamp something like, I might be stamping something like a, whatever, Yosemite granite peak, or, type of peak in the background. And you have, the paper itself is kind of like, it's not granite, but it's like marble. And, stuff like that is really fun to see. If we ever saw it. Or is that? Yeah, Sheila. Yeah. We'll get you getting whatever kind of results you're going after there. Let us know if there's any type of scene or technique in general that you really like and that you want to get. And then, sometimes what I tell people is I have people tell me what type of inks they already have. Okay, I'm going to go for my really tall leafless pine tree right here. And then we come up with like a plan or a scenario for getting like a similar type of look. To maybe one of the examples that's been done. I don't know. There's a lot of things in like the Facebook group too. It's like I have no idea how they did it. So you'd have to ask them though, not me. I have no idea what some people are using. I can usually kind of make out what media, maybe in what sequence someone used something in, but sometimes I have no idea. I know. Linda does the kind of a manages the group. I don't know. Linda, do you see, some techniques that baffle you too? You use a lot of different techniques too. Like sometimes, some things, it's the multimedia ones, especially if I'm not too proficient at them. The different types of papers too. who is it? Is it Astrid's the one that's always doing like the real textured papers? I don't think she was using linen lately, but yeah, it's like whenever there's like a watercolor or like a pan pastel fusion, sometimes I get really confused. Or I don't know, Jeannie's in here. Jeannie, I don't know what she's doing in those foregrounds sometimes. Sometimes there's like a different foreground imagery, but it's more like a reverse impression. I don't know if it's into wet Dr. Martin's bleed proof white, paint or what, it's a really people start developing their certain types of techniques, and it's like a mystery. Which is really the fun part. All right, so this is what some of that white on gold looks like, and you can see these open areas like that. Now that's in the design itself. Okay, so when you see those little bits of gold showing through the tree, it's because it's we have a bit of that tree, that reverse area is within that tree in there, so you can get some pretty good prints. And I was curious as to how that ink would dry. I don't know, I put it back over there, but it dried really good. But then you spray seal this, okay? Because this isn't going to adhere to this. Like I said before in previous videos, I haven't tried the StazOn white pigment solvent pad, I guess it was what it is. I guess it's a solvent pigment pad. And that might just dry really fast. I don't know how it'd be to use it on here. I don't know. It might be tricky sometimes, because you got to do a fast print because it's drying so fast. But, I'm familiar. I'm getting a little bit more familiar with the regular StazOn ink. But when it comes to like a pigment, so I don't know, it's just if you get these papers like this and you're trying out some different things, just do a little bit of a test print on like a scrap piece, which is what this is all about. Anytime I get some new paper, I like to try the different inks on there and, kind of make note of it. All right, so here's some, let's do this too. Here, we did that kind of, not kind of, but that moon on this one. Let's do, or the sun. Let's do a moon on this one. Okay, so again, just a 1-inch hole punch like this. Let's do it. Let's do a little moon on here. I have to be careful about where I place this down on here because that's wet, right? So let's put it over here. I think this would look better if it was like coming up behind this tree, but just because I didn't do this first and just stamp the tree over it, we're going to do it over here just to keep it free of, potentially me smearing that tree. Okay, I'm going to hold this up here too because I don't want this flap to go down on that wet ink like that. Now, if I wasn't doing this in the live stream, I would just wait till this dries, spray seal, and then I would add in this later. But let's see what this looks like. Amazon drivers striking would just be plain awful. Yeah, I would have to plan out, I would have to plan things out much better if those Amazon strikers went on, or Amazon drivers went on strike. We are pretty dependent on it. Oh, in Salem. I wonder if I ever taught at a store in Salem. I think I had different clients there at different times. It's like everywhere in the Pacific Northwest, even like some of the smallest little towns, there was a stamp store at some time, over the last 30 years. All right, let's see here. Okay, so let's do this too. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit darker on the bottom. Or I guess we went lighter on the bottom and darker on top. This one we're going to go, let's see, yeah, okay, so we're gonna go lighter on the top and darker on the bottom. So let's transition this again. Okay. So again, I used to do it, when I first started doing a lot of these things, light beams, stuff like that. I don't know, what else? Fog effects. I would do it all kind of uniform value. And, it would just be one solid thing. But, over time, as I aged, I would vary things a little bit more. I thought, okay, I think it looks better. Or it just looks different than, what I would normally do. I mean, you can do, you know what I mean? If you use too much down there, like I said, this isn't like dry instantly, so you can just kind of like wipe it off. Even if it dries, okay, before you spray seal it, you can wipe it right off of this real mirrored style gold cardstock. This would be a really great spot for if we had like a word stamp in here. It'd be even better if it was like vertical like that. I don't know if I have room in here, but for a word stamp, but now you can do it too. You can mount this or something like that and put your word stamp down here, put it on a different piece of paper and like, whatever, mat it off, and that would look really cool over the front of this maybe. But let's add in a little bit of extra texture. You can do it as like stars or something like that, but let's do it as snowfall. Let's just kind of splatter this whole thing to get an extra texture in here. Is it, who was saying that, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sheila, do splatter painting. Sheila, she's going to get started with the different like techniques and stamps. Incorporate, go back to kindergarten and utilize those dormant splatter painting techniques. Some people, one of those videos, one of those live streams, someone said, hey, I use splatter painting all the time, But I think until I started like doing, scenic stamping or something like that, I don't know. I don't think I had done it since kindergarten. But anyways, you have that like that. So a little bit of snowfall coming down like that. The difference between stars to me and like snowfall is if you kind of splatter paint it over everything. If you kind of do it more in the sky, it looks more like stars. It could look like more like both too. Now I have a heavier concentration of that white up here in those larger specks, because sometimes it's hard, you can't really control that sometimes. To see there's bigger ones like that. I'm going to even this out a little bit more. Not where it's like, completely monotonous, but I'll add in like some larger stars with my paint pen rather than doing it with this, because otherwise it's going to get really, really heavy in here unless you want like a snowstorm type of thing, which might look cool too. But you get the variation of the splattering like that, okay? But then, you can have the control, with your, either your gel pen or paint pen. And this is also one of those things where you can go in with your gold pen and it would look really good on here. Or if this was spray sealed and dried, what I would do is I would put a little bit of highlight on these branches, like with some snowfall on them, just for that variation, because that, that tree right now is it's monotone right now, but you put a few little highlights on it with white. So white on white, and it's not really white on white because that's a goldish white right there. But this works really good like that. You can put some little highlights on your trees just for a little bit of variation in there. Because right now they look kind of flat, right? But that's where you can take care of it with this. Okay, but anyways, if you do this type of thing on even like a little 2x2 or something, it really makes for some great little tags, you know, I guess for next year. Too late for this, like Christmas. Okay, I can't put any of this down here in these trees like this over here because, again, those are wet. And if I put this little dot and do a little scribble, that pigment ink is going to go right up into this tip here. So I want to spray seal this off before doing that. But I just wanted to kind of, you know, add a few more of these little, whatever, snowflakes in here so you can see what that looks like. So you can just kind of balance things off if the splatter painting goes completely, you know, like one-sided or something like that. But doesn't it have a really nice look to it, you know? And it looks so different in different types of angles like that. It's just so simple. And again, you know, if you have a little one like that, I like, you know, the 2x2s are something that I really like doing in that type of look right there. You can even do like a little small moon in there too, but that's fun stuff. So stamping any of these images, I think in the white would look really good. Like even just this little center section of this cove area right in here, you know. And you can even do it where you have like a little moon kind of rising up. You'd have to kind of wait for that to dry completely. And then you put that moon and you have like this type of thing, like rising up over it. Of course, this is going to be in white. Or you can do it in black too, over the gold too. And just do, you know, these, you know, kind of, you know, the snow types of things in white too. I haven't done that in a while. You know, but yeah, it's really fun like that. So again, super easy to do. And I don't think it misses anything. You know, it's missing color, of course, but it's reflective of different colors, whatever colors it's reflecting. But you got all your texture in there, and there's depth. You know, you've created kind of the depth just with splatter painted stars and I guess the moon there. But you know, I think it has a lot of things in there. Julie had to go to Portland to take the class. Julie, did you see that? Was that first impression? I miss those trips to Portland. That was always fun stuff. I didn't used to always go explore the areas. I didn't have time for it sometimes. You know, you're at the store all day, you know, having fun with classes and stuff like that. But at nighttime, I started going out to, you know, Powell's. Anyone ever went to the Portland area and been to like Powell's bookstore, right? That's the one. Keep forgetting, but I always like hit up. I used to hit up bookstores after workshops a lot of times because a lot of times those bookstores in these, like the larger bookstores in these different cities, close like at midnight or something like that. So I was always like at the bookstore. Okay, so someone asked right here, Sharita, okay, will you ever sell digital versions of stamps? I hadn't, you know, I thought about that in the past. I think I inquired about it a little bit, but I don't know. I never really got past that. So you know, the answer is I'm not sure. But I didn't look into it too much. I think I asked someone about it, and I don't know. I couldn't find some info on that. Yeah, but I don't know if everyone's on strike, you know, especially, or if that becomes like a pattern, you know, we're going to have to come up with something to get the images out to people. Okay, so let's do something. I'm going to show you guys something that, a technique that I always did in my, I think I called it like Stampscapes 102 or something like that, or 201. There was Stampscapes 101, okay, and that was just your basic class. How to arrange your stamps, like compose, and then how to add on color, okay? And the second class, we'd do something in a monochromatic piece, you know, just using all grayscale. People love that one too. But then we'd also push depth and everything like that. Depth and kind of atmosphere through the use of their color scheme range that they were using. Okay, so what that means is, you know, whatever color scheme they're going with, if they're going with a, you know, like a sunset color scheme or something like that, it might look something like this in terms of their range of colors. Okay, so you get a horizon glow with the sunsets and it's going into darkness or something like that, right? Here's the blue tones. I'd usually start them off the blue tones because in the Marvy pads there was like a light, medium, and dark blue, really definitive. Okay, so in the first class I just had everyone stamp out all their images in black like that, and then we would start coloring in, okay, your blue tones or something like that. We went to the blue tones with a warm sky like that, but just say, just imagine that's not up there. And then what I would have them use these colors, or just not really colors specifically, because it can be any color scheme, but their range of tones. Okay, so we're going to use those more strategically in order to really push depth within a scene. Okay, so we'll show you how this goes. So this right here, let's do something similar to this, but we'll just do it on a quarter page. Close, farther, farthest, okay? Or that's farthest right up there. So near, background, midground, foreground, like that, okay? Now, it doesn't have to be just broken down like specifically like this, okay? Like, this one's background, midground, and foreground like that, okay? I mean, you can mix it up a little bit, or, black could be, this right here, plus some additional images in front of it, or the two things right here could be black, and then you have like a darker blue in the background and lighter blue up there, okay? But you're using these variations of value within a specific, within a color scheme. It doesn't have to be within a one hue. It can just be this whole color scheme like this. This is what I would have people do. I'd have people pick out their colors and, line them up and say, okay, for your whatever, stamp out your foreground one. I wouldn't tell them what to do because they had a choice of what stamps they wanted to use. But then, they just did that, and I'll show you what that looks like when you start coloring it in. It can look kind of weird, but then when you start coloring in, it kind of makes sense from a lighting standpoint. Okay, let's see. I think the alcohol inks on vellum intrigued me. Ah, yeah. Was that the what you call those? Those lighting, those lamp pieces, right? Yeah, your 6-year-old. Yeah, Michelle. Yeah, your 6-year-old might have. I don't know if that IOU from Santa would have. I don't think that would have flew with that 6-year-old of yours. Okay, this blue pad right here, this is just for inking only. My 30-year-old pad is broken down, okay? The fabric there. But I think my Prussian blue is still good. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this one out, and a Prussian blue. Is my Prussian blue? Gosh, I need to re-ink this. Okay, I have a little bit of ink on here, see, like that? But this is a little bit dry, so I tell you what, this is what you do. You just kind of will mix in some black here with that blue, like that, so we have blue-black, all right? This is going here in my foreground. I'm putting a little bit more pressure on this. You normally wouldn't have to, but this that pad was a little bit dry, or very dry. Okay, yeah, it's mostly black here. Okay, let's see. Let's do that again. Let me do a test print. Let me see how much ink is on here. I looked for my Prussian blue re-inker and I couldn't find it. Okay, so here's that. Okay, this is going to be mostly black here. Okay, you see this right here. So we'll do a little bit of comparison contrast with this one. I'll try to get as much of the finish done with this one as possible. Okay, let's go. I'm going to go a little bit higher. Okay. Like that. All right. All right, so my foreground is this. This is going to be, you know, near, farther, farthest, like that, I think. Now you can do this too. You can use these different colors here, and you can use the exact same image and stamp it in there. And if you stamp it in a lighter color, it's going to look visually like it's farther off in the background, okay? Lighter in general, farther away, darker, closer, because you don't have all that light kind of image being broken up and all the, you know, whatever the sediment and moisture in the air, and, you know, the image is breaking down by the time it gets back to your eye, if that makes sense. So in photography, when they're saying they're photographing light, that's what they mean by that. Okay, as opposed to, you know, I'm photographing those images. They think about it in terms of light, usually. Let's see here. The vellum lamp. Yeah, those vellum lamps are really cool. Hello, military mom. I use the bleed-proof white with my watercolors. Oh, you already got the bleed-proof white. Start splattering away with that now. So the bleed-proof white, yeah, you already know the bleed-proof white there. So the bleed-proof white, I love it at the base of waterfalls a lot, you know. So you, instead of splatter painting high, you go kind of lower and target it right at the base of waterfalls. So it's like, you have to kind of blend in, you know, some tones around the base of the waterfall, though, in order for that white misty spray to show up. And then, you know, stars and snow are really fantastic for that. And do we use it for anything else? Sometimes I just use it for atmospherics, like if it's like a sunset or a warm sunset or something like that. It kind of puts that, I don't know, kind of pollen in the air, especially if I have light beams or something like that. Sometimes I need something to soften up the overall look, so we put that into the scenario. So yeah, maybe not for someone that has really bad hay fever. They wouldn't be doing stamping something like that, but or creating that. But from a visual standpoint, it's really fun. All right, so that's really light like that. Okay, it looks kind of weird like that. You know who does those backgrounds? Linda, where she stamps it out in those colors, and it looks so cool the way she separates colors on. You know, I've seen her pieces are up on the there all the time. I don't know. I've been thinking about some different things, so I got all these words kind of. My words are, or words and names are all messed up here. But she does all these really cool backgrounds. Or I think she uses like these color tones too. I think she's probably using the Marvies. Okay, let's do some trees like this. Okay, this is a salvia blue. So it's like a cornflowery kind of tone blue, and we'll create some backgrounds with this right here. I would kind of mop off some of the bottom of this, but I don't think I'll need to, because I'm going to bring in a lot of different tones into this. Maybe I will here. There's a lot of ink on this salvia here. I never heard of salvia blue before in terms of a color. And when I used to work for a Stamp in the Hand company, she used to have these demonstrators do their demonstrations at their booth, and they were calligraphers. Like these two calligrapher people from the Calligraphy Society would do the demonstrations, and I don't know, I just said, I don't know, you know, I'd be helping out in the booth. I wasn't stamping. I wasn't even a stamper at the time. I designed stamps, but I started stamping when I started doing the nature series. But I called this one lady named Sunan Douglas, who designed a lot of the stamps for Stamp in the Hand, asked me if, I don't know, she probably needed a replacement color. She goes, hey, can you get me another one of these? Or something like that. And I think they were all pens. And I said, what the, you know, saliva blue? And I don't know, she never let me, you know, down after that one. She'd always bring that up in the future. But that's what I saw, you know, because I never heard of the word salvia. I don't know. All right, so I got a little thing up there. I was looking for my cloud stamp, my cloud cumulus stamp, which would be good in the background there. Let's just give it some atmospherics here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to blend in these same tones now, okay? So from a depth standpoint, just stamping these out in these colors like this, like that, I mean, it does, you know, it looks like this is kind of closer and this one's farther away, but it really makes sense more when you start to blend these same colors into this piece now, okay? And then it'll create that depth that you're going for, or what we're trying to depict. So it is a more of a monochromatic type of scenario, okay? But I don't know. I often do these kind of scenes like that. It's more of those like you know, kind of moody types of days, or you know, really atmospheric types of things, you know, the golden hour when it comes to photography. Okay, that was like super, super juicy, and I got it a little bit too wet right there, but we'll bring it around like this. Okay, now this is really wet in here. I shouldn't be going over this right now. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I should heat set it a little bit. By the way, this is a semi-gloss cardstock. Matte or glossy would be fine. Let's heat set this a little bit because I'm going to get some smearing on here if I don't. Yeah, the pan pastels are awesome. Linda does, you know, Linda, you've done some really awesome pan pastel pieces. Have you done them lately? I can't remember. But whenever you've tried them, you know, and you've achieved like really good, you know, really awesome looking like initial results from what I recall. But yeah, Deanna's awesome with those ones. I think, isn't that Deanna's main, is that what she's doing on all of her background papers? Is she creating them all with pastels, or is she going multimedia with some of them? Does she use inks on them at all? I don't know. But yeah, Deanna really picked up on that, those pan pastels really quickly. You know, but Deanna's done painting before, and what I was told, like when I was in college, is I heard that, I think they said that pastels, not just pan pastels, but like stick pastels, those are considered paintings more than drawings. So, you know, it's just like those raw pigments, you know, raw pigments, but they're the same pigments that you would have in, you know, your acrylics and oil paints. All right, so coming in like this is really crude up here, you know, because I had like way too much ink on there, and that imagery was really wet still. But let's see, let's bring some of this across like that. And see, I don't usually like having like this big open area of light, so I usually bisect it up, and I'll just continue to bisect certain areas up. So I have a little bit of that coming across that way. We'll come across this way down here, like that, and up here. That's fine. I guess it'll be like a little horizon glow. Like that. Okay, so this is just using that one salvia blue, not to be mistaken with the other color that's real similar to it called saliva blue. If anyone just joined on, that's not a color. Okay, so we're going with the number 10 blue, like a light blue in here. Okay, that one's real similar to like a Memento Bahama blue, if you're, you know, doing something similar to this. And the lightest one would be like the summer sky mementos. More people have like Memento pads than like Marvy at this point in time. All right, so this is the darker one up here, and I'll go a little bit darker. I'll put a little bit of foreground overhang in this scene later on. Okay, but what you do is you don't, well, I'll try to read this as I go along here, but you try to read kind of the piece on how far to take in your darker tones, okay? Sometimes with the darker that I don't go into the interior quite as much, so we get that transition going from light to dark. If you came in with the same distance into the scene with the darker tones, then it would maybe it would be like all dark, and that would just go to like light. So you want those kind of intermediate areas, which I'm not doing very well there because I, you know, did that gigantic slathering of ink initially up there. So we'll try to remedy that. You know, towards the end of this process right here. But anyways, okay, so this is one of those things on semi-gloss cardstock right here. You can bring in some colored pencils in here too, but on the glossy, you know, it'd look more vibrant, and you would really benefit a little bit more from having that ink retention more surface based, because, you know, the more you move towards matte, the more absorbent the paper is getting, so it would be absorbing more of this ink in there. Okay. All right. Okay, so remember what I said about this pad right here? Yeah, this blue right here. It's not really good for impressions because it's completely squashed down on there, but I can go like this and I can get that darker blue off of it. So I just use that for my, you know, like whatever toning pad, but I don't use it for my impressions anymore. Yeah, so see, it's a little bit darker like that. It's like a, I don't know, like a navy blue-ish color. Maybe that one's a little bit dry too. All right, let's go to, let me grab that Danube here. Okay, so I'm going for a bit of a range right here again. So see, this is really dark right here. And it's going about like an, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch, but then I'm going up here a little bit, but I'm not going with full force like right in here. So I'm gonna try to really get my four corners really dark with this, and that kind of creates this little tunnel of like light in here. Oh, you know, it'll be perfect right up here too. See how I got that really harsh kind of line like that, cloud cumulus. If I stamp it right up there, but maybe in like this memento right up here, that'll like completely solve it. Or just any kind of imagery. You can have an overhanging tree limb or something like that. If you did something like that, it would mean that we're standing like on a ledge overlooking this scene. So that is that. And we're at black, you know, that we stamped out our image in. Let's see. Yeah, but pan pastels are awesome. Sharita, you went from analog and you jumped 30 years in. How long have you been stamping, Sharita? Like a year or something like that? Crafting? You did like 3 decades of techniques all within 1 year. You're a fast moving crafter, explorer, which is cool. But we said it before. It's like, you know, I don't know. When you first started stamping, you were already kind of experimenting with the like the holographics. Okay, but see this right down here with that blue like that, or the black right there. It's really starting to come together right now with this color. Someday, and especially if you work with like crazy colors like this, where you have like different things at different depths stamp these, you know, these literally super bright tones. It's really only when you get into those darker tones and you start blending them in, that really brings it together. But it looks really weird until you get to those kind of darker tones like that. Just let you know, just letting you know, like, you know, I mean, I've seen it done. You know, I mean, people do like a purple scenario or something like that, and you know, you're doing, you know, you got these purple tones, like a dark violet, like a pale violet, and then it might move into something like a pink, you know, because that's kind of really related to like a, you know, those violet tones like that. And when you start seeing like, you know, trees or background mountains stamped out, you know, you can see something stamped out in a pinkish tone, but when it's like super bright pink, it's kind of like jarring. And then when people start bringing in all those tones over the top of it, you know, pinks and things like that, it still looks kind of jarring. But then when they get into those violets and everything like that, everything starts to mellow out a little bit. And all those different tones just read as different depths of imagery, you know, distances like that. Sometimes you have to go all the way black, you know, before it kind of starts to make kind of like visual sense. Let me see something. Let me see if I can find my cloud cumulus. Oh, great. I didn't have to look too far. So remember how I said, I mean, this isn't looking too bad right there. It's a little bit jarring though still, but let's go with the Danube blue, which isn't too dark. It looks kind of dark from that right here, but the mementos I find, especially when you're stamping them into porous surfaces, you know, semi-gloss cardstock, matte cardstock, they stamp out to me, I don't know if it's 50% of that indexing right there, but it's not very dark. Okay, something like that. Yeah, look at that. See that right there? How it blends out like that. Okay, now what I'm doing here is, see at the top of this, well, in this case, I'm stamping it this way because see the lighting is kind of lighting up these billows. Okay, that's if you have like a light source coming from above. Okay, but in this case, the light source is the horizon. So you don't stamp it up this way. I mean, I guess you could, okay, but I see it more as going like this, where they're bottom lit now. You see like that? But I don't want this harsh line like that. So you give it a good wipe off. Now this is a really, it's not, like I said, it's not like a super dark color, but the darker it is, the more you kind of wipe off, okay? Otherwise you get this line. And if your pad's like super juicy too, I mean, if your pads are like really dry, then, you know, you don't need to worry about that. But, you know, the wetter it is, you know, just kind of be mindful, or just, you know, do a test print and see what it looks like, okay? All right, so see how that kind of handled that? So, you know, this is a little bit darker than this, so this maybe that kind of represents a certain distance like that. So it's going like this. It's going from near, you know, close, farther away, like that. And then maybe up here, it's coming out closer to you again. So maybe those distant objects are, more distant than the darker cloud ones. I don't know, whatever it looks like optically. Like that. Here's some different blue tones, if you want to get a little bit more, tone in here. If you're doing like watercolor pencils or something like that, that might be kind of interesting. You can do that, like mix it up on your semi-gloss or matte cardstocks in here. Okay. And let's see, do I have like a little figure? Let's do this. This figure might be a little bit too big, but let's just do it anyway, because it's just the one that I have out, unless I have a smaller little canoe. Solo canoeist would have been good. This is a little kayaker, but let's just do this one right here. Okay, hopefully I didn't add too much colored pencil right in that illuminated area. Okay, this is going to be, I need to wipe off some of the back of that kayak there. I'll wipe off a little bit of the bottom so it looks like they're in a little bit of fog and mist maybe. Let's do this right in here. Like I said, the scale is going to be off a little bit, but, so be it, like that. It's still, it looks okay. The trees are smaller now. All right, let's hit that with that white pigment ink in here. All right, so I don't know, try some value. I don't know, whatever you call it, value exercises or something like that. You go dark images in the foreground, maybe midground images, mid-toned, mid-value, specifically images in that middle area, and the lightest ones in the lightest, and then you just color in with those same colors. It really looks, one of my favorite ones is the like green tones, like some like scenario like that. I find it looks like especially if you do it on like a glossy cardstock, it looks like an emerald, like a really deep emerald green toned scene and lighting, like warm, toned light like that. And if you're doing it on a semi-gloss too, one of the things I was mentioning with the glossy cardstocks, the glossy cardstocks aren't as easy to find anymore. You can find it on Amazon. They still got the chrome coat. I think they have it in both the 10, 12 point single-sided glossy. But, like worldwide, everyone, all these stamp stores, private stamp stores, they used to all have glossy cardstock in stock. They'd typically sell it in like packs of 25, 4x5 or something like that. And people would be buying whole reams of it a lot of times. Along with their matte cardstock. It would be matte cardstock and glossy cardstock. They had a ream of each, But if you can't find that, and sometimes the Amazon ones, like the Hamilco glossy cardstock, is much more like a semi-gloss cardstock, okay? You can, what I'm getting at is you can spray seal these, okay, with your glossy acrylic spray, and it won't make it as glossy as like a true glossy cardstock, but it'll make it really, a lot shinier. And, and you'd have the benefit of being able to use like colored pencils on here too, which you can't really do on glossy cardstock because it's just too slick for colored pencils. So, you can do all these different types of techniques and then just spray it, and then it'll become a little bit glossier, maybe more satiny kind of, glossy satiny maybe. All right, so coming in the center right here with some white pigment ink, it would be really good for me to put it over that character right there, but they're just going to be too wet right now, and I'd be like doing this and I'd be smearing them around a little bit, so let's not do that right there. But Anyways, adding in this little bit of atmospherics here into the mix with the white pigment ink. And it's like smoothing out my rougher applications. And now it looks all kind of, you know, nice and smooth and everything like that. Applying, you know, an obscuring white over the top of it, which also I think looks good too. But it also, like I said, it obscures my kind of rougher, whatever, technique applications, you know. Like that. Let's have some of this kind of lighting kind of creep around like this and illuminate. Or add in like fog where it didn't even exist right down in here like that, okay? I mean, it looks different too. I mean, you can say, well, okay, you made it lighter in there. What if you just didn't make it as dark to begin with? Well, yeah, I mean, you could, you know, so you don't have to do as much in this stage. But I think that looks a little bit different with the white pigment ink over the top of kind of a darker blue than just have, you know, me having left that light to begin with, though, you know. But I mean, you can kind of do both. Like, see, I'm kind of adding some white pigment ink right down in here like this to make kind of the base of the tree is a little bit more, you know, light and illuminated. So sometimes when I'm doing that type of thing, it's like, okay, this is taking me a little bit of time to do. So maybe before I stamped it out, next time what I would do is I would just wipe off the bottom of this a little bit so that it stamps out with an inherent look of it being kind of in fog or something like that. All right. Let's see. I do work with digitals. I mentioned the images. Toner, oh, toner foiling. Oh, right. Yeah. I forgot about that method with the foil. So when you do that method with foil, I don't know, I'll look into this later. So like someone doesn't have to like type it all out right there. But I remember with foil imagery, those foil graphics too, sometimes what I used to do is I made signs for a Stamp in the Hand company. I'd get those different foils, and then you'd print something out in your printer, I think a laser printer, right? And then you put that foil on whatever printed out, and that foil, and then you put it through the self feed, you know, with just not printing anything on it. I remember it would, and then you peel off that foil and it would be adhered to the toner, right? Whatever is tonered. But anyways, look at that right there. So that's just using your, you know, your color scheme like this. So you see this right here, kind of far, you know, back there, plus some white pigment ink right here, closer, and closest, like that. My dark blues, I need to re-ink those, so. I hardly ever re-ink these because they're so dark, and I usually like to tone in my corners sometimes, so I'm not like stamping out like large imagery a lot of times with it. But then this type of exercise, I do that. All right, so let me see here. Let me get to a little bit of this right here. Let's finish off this piece. Okay, so if you just joined in, you know, with my scenes that I'm often doing, you know, there's a lot of things that are just, it's like a continuous usage of imagery, okay? Like something like these right here. Here it is on the, you know, the vintage paper, and here's that one reflection stamp right here. But objects, you know, they kind of, they transition into their sibling designs, additional impressions of the same design, whatnot, okay? But then these ones right here, I've done these a lot because I really like the look, and the technique is really fun to do too. But you can kind of create these kind of sparser types of statements like that in the spirit of those, you know, those ink paintings. Let me make sure this is dry here. It should be. And okay, let me see here. I haven't done this for a while. And I'll just try to start this off. I don't want to like bore people with like doing like a ton of stuff in here, but I usually went with those Derwents. I mean, I'm just calling it Derwents because that's the only ones I have here, but the watercolor pencils here. And I mean, use any kind of watercolor pencils. Those are just the ones I have. But I try to create a little bit of shadows underneath this, and then I'll blend that off with, some water to make it more of that washy look. So, yeah, let me see right here. Offering 2025 group lessons or classes online. We could, Shell. What kind of classes would you want? Yeah, What I don't know. Let's throw that out there. What kind of what is there anything that people would want to do, kind of with online classes sometime? I've been mentioning that, just like having like a group, like on Zoom. I subscribe to that Zoom so I can do it, but I haven't been using it, very much at all. Gosh, I need to relearn how to use that. Okay, so I'm adding this down in this water area. I'm gonna, try to create a little bit of a transition, but it's like, okay, if I don't, I'm just gonna add water to it and like spread it around anyway, so it doesn't have to be like super smooth. But I want it as smooth as I can get it. Okay, so I'll just kind of trail that off a little bit like that. And again, I'll hit it with the water in there. And these are water-based impressions, so if they kind of, break down a little bit, maybe that'll be fine because it'll look like a, like more like in the spirit of the painted image. So let me just kind of add this in. I'm kind of adding less up here because this is lighter, okay? And let's go down here. We'll have this one a little bit darker, like this. Let's see here. Was someone asking about the vellum weight? Linda, do you know the vellum weight? Oh, are you talking about the vellum weight for those lumineers? Those ones? Yeah, I don't know that. I use it to highlight rocks. Oh, yeah. Oh, Sheila, yeah. To do all that type of stuff, do all those types of techniques that you're talking about like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, the best thing, if you're already kind of, doing those types of things and painting that way, try to paint, you can use a lot of that same type of technique and just bring it into your stamping and do, the best thing is to use do some kind of fusions, maybe get that glossy cardstock, but then figure out how to use it, with a lot of your existing techniques, especially when for me, the thing that I really love is when I love adding or trying to figure out kind of textural applications with, a different media like glossy. Glossy is good for really certain types of things, but it's not good for other types of things. So when we're talking about textures, you can get textural, so I like splatter painting on it. But then, see, I like colored pencils like this. Well, this is a watercolor pencil, but there's only kind of so much you can do with like dye-based inks on like glossy cardstock. Okay, maybe you can do more. We can get like sponges, like sea sponges, and create, stuff like that. But a lot of times we're not, doing that type of thing. But okay, I need like a plastic palette here for my water. Okay, here. This one's like full of glitter and those modeling leaves in here. I got that paint in here. There's probably glow in the dark paint in one of these. Okay, this one looks okay. And no, that one's got yellow in it. Here, I'll have to clean one of these out. I've got a gazillion of these palettes somewhere. Oh, There we go. Well, okay, this one's clean now. All right, I didn't want that yellow on there. All right, let's do this. Okay, I haven't done this in a while, and I'm a lousy painter, okay? Okay, let's see here. Let's do a little bit of drier application here. As I do this, it occurs to me, you can like Copics or something like that would be good because you can go in there with that blender pen and kind of blend that out in there too. I think in place of like this watercolory look, especially if I destroy it with my feeble technique right here. All right, here we go. Let's see. Okay, I remember this in here. I didn't use too much. So I'm kind of going from the outside in, except for this one right here. That's kind of like that isolated one. Okay, so kind of adding it and then working down. That's a little bit too wet right there. But again, it's kind of giving it that washy look, potentially to some of the imagery. Some of my favorite pieces, kind of historically, are more of those real kind of gestural, spontaneous works. So I typically like a lot of like field study, like wash paintings and stuff like that, because I'm lousy at it, I think, So I really like and admire those real kind of fluid gestural pieces. I was never good at doing stuff like that, so like in life drawing classes where you're drawing someone, figure, and they're doing it like 10-second poses, and then you kind of move up to 1-minute poses, and maybe for the last half of the class or something like that, you're doing like the model's doing like a 1-hour pose. Lousy at it, my advanced my advanced life drawing teacher, it wasn't happening for my pieces. But then when I went to the zoo, we took a field trip to the zoo one time as a class, and I was doing these real quick studies with a ballpoint pen. He said, "Okay, that's what you're working with for now on, Because I was better with hard copy, hard media, not these like soft, brushy types of, techniques. All right. So, all right, here. Let's see. Heat set, I think, here. Now, needless to say, I'm going to have to mount this because this is going to be a real rippled type of surface right here. Okay, Deanna's pieces are most pan pastels with mixed media, I think. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. That's all those papers Deanna sells. Those if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's like Linda was saying, we're pretty sure that those are mostly pan pastel created pieces. Hey, Sharita, have you been already? Has it been 2022 already? Man, that time flies. I don't know. I felt like you were just saying like something like I just started last month. It doesn't feel like 2022. Was that was that the end of 2022? Huh. If your Marvy ink pad is crumbling, can you use it for shading purpose? Yeah, I can still re-ink this this pad right here, no problem. I would just put very little ink. I wouldn't put too much in there. But yeah, my number three pad is number 3 blue is really it's probably been, it looks like from the looks of it, it's been disintegrating probably for the last like 3 years probably. I tend to use things until they just absolutely can't be used anymore. That might not be good for certain things. I don't know. You know, when we grew up at a time when it was like, hey, you just don't you use things up, until it it can't be used anymore. So I don't know. I have that in me. It's like with all things, like the computers and stuff like that, which wasn't a good thing because I didn't. My computer went down over this last year, and I was like, oh my God, I had a bunch of stuff on there. I didn't back up some of the programs and apps, and that wasn't too good. Okay, I'm going to stamp this moon right down in here. Okay. I'm going to wipe off a lot of the reflection down here so that it's kind of more in the spirit of this washy look right there. And of course, we dried this for the most part. It might be a little bit wet still, but I don't want to stamp that out and that impression starts creeping out like that or something like that. Is there a good Marvy replacement ink pad? Okay, so some places still sell these replacement pads, okay? And there's still a lot of, I don't know about a lot at this point in time, but there's still places that sell the re-inkers, okay? Because Marvy sold out of a lot of their pads a long time ago, okay? Some sites still have it, like, I think it was, where's that place in Chicago? Okay, like I said, my words aren't there today. But, okay, I'm going to put some kind of word stamp up there at some point in time. But let's bring in this pigment ink down here again to smooth out my, my technique in here. My not great technique. I don't know. It didn't come out as bad as I thought for not having done that for a while, but it's pretty rough if you look at this, like beyond like 2 or 3 seconds. What's that place in Chicago? Oh God, it's something papers, right? Is it? Oh yeah, but Marco's Papers. Okay, Marco's Papers I think has quite a few re-inkers. Okay. And there's that other, oh yeah, there's that other website. It was something like the word one is in it, ONE, and they had a few of those pads left, or pads, I think, and re-inkers, okay? But then they sold some kind of re-inker pad to go along with it. It was a foam pad, so it looked like it would work pretty good. Okay, but what I'm getting at here is so I love Distress Inks and Memento. I have a decent amount of Mementos and a decent amount of Distress. I don't have like dozens of them, like a lot of us have. But I have a pretty good amount of them. But okay, I would recommend to get like a couple colors of Marvy and just kind of create your own pad, okay? You like some color within each range of colors. So if it was like a green range like this, okay, like all you need is like this number 11 light green, okay? Because the thing that's specific about this is it's really, really bright, okay? So you can get all these other kinds of pads, memento, distress, etc., that aren't quite as intense. But if you do layering like this, like if you had a Marvy yellow, which I don't know if they'll have at this time, and they're sold out of a lot of their blue tones, but they probably have a Caribbean blue. If you can get one color or two, or two of each hue, you can brighten up all of your other brands of dye-based inks just by incorporating it in, to the mix in here, okay? I'm trying to think of some other colors that are really good, like a pink or something like that, because a pink is kind of like it's kind of like, it's not like a primary color like red, okay? But in terms of like color blending though, it's like red. It's a lighter version of it kind of, right? But with pink, you add blue to it and you get your violets. And with pink, you add yellow to it and you get your oranges and golden colors, right? So it's kind of like a primary foundational blending color, okay? And that would be really good to have something like that, like the number 9 pink, they call it. And then there's a Rosemary. It's not quite as intense, but that would be a good one too. It's a really light pink because you can add other colors to it to get those secondary colors, but it'll be a nice bright tone within your mix. So we were talking about like glossy cardstocks. If you're only working on matte cardstocks, okay, and that's a lot of people's favorite paper. Maybe it's the only color that they, only type of paper that they're ever working on. Then maybe you don't need to go with, your super bright colors because it's going to absorb into the paper. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. That's looking pretty bright here, and that's really that's on the semi-gloss cardstock, but and I haven't tried some other ones too. I haven't tried like every brand of inks out there. So who's that designer out there that's got her full line of inks? But she seemed like she was using that real foamy, spongy kind of ink pad material. I don't know that for sure, but those are some of my favorite types of pads. But I didn't try her inks, so I don't know how bright they are. Just in general, so Marvy's, a lot of, not all Marvy colors are supposed to be like super bright, but just in general as a characteristics, they're usually brighter than other similar versions, okay, of colors. That's why I like to supplement. I like a full range of intensity from kind of more dull to like super bright, okay? But you can make super bright ones dull too by, adding water to it or something like that, or blotting it out like that. But you can't necessarily make duller colors brighter though, okay? So that's what I like about some certain Marvy colors. So if you had like 3 or 4 pads in your Marvies, that would really set you up in terms of that kind of intensity scale. I don't know, anyone ever see, I feel like I'm talking about that, that there's a scene in this movie called Spinal Tap. It's about this, it's a comedy about this rock group, but he was talking about these amps that go to 11 in volume, But yeah, the Marvy colors really, just in general, they can really amp up your intensity area, in which, can potentially be the thing that gets a lot of attention too. So, really super bright colors, attention getting ones, But you won't want everything super bright though. You want to have a nice range to it. And that's where your distress inks come in, the more aged looking ones, because they work great in combination with it to create contrast. intensity contrast. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop right there. This is I don't know, it's not like super engaging, watching me do like a, barely kind of visible kind of applications of white pigment. But see how I'm kind of like putting that here and there. Now, these ones like this, these kind of bare ones always kind of look like really sparse and like they're missing something. That's why I like putting like the quotes with it, Or one person did like those, I don't know, what do you call them, those chops, like those little word stamps. Or if you know like little calligraphy and you did some kind of thing down there, that would be kind of cool too. But I'm going to put some kind of word stamp or quote stamp up here, and this thing looks really good. I like it kind of matted off with a little bit of a tiny bit of gold like that. Like around it like that, like a little silver sliver. And then, okay, I can't find a black around here, but not blue, but if you go like that, it looks like, you put one of those black or dark. Now this one's blue, like I said, but I'd use the one that looks more black. And it looks like one of those black lacquer frames around like an old, ink painting look, and it looks pretty cool. It's got that kind of that scroll-like kind of flavor to it, but yeah. And this paper right here is really cheap, so I use it like a lot, even just for like a tiny little sliver of it like that in there, and that kind of brings out that the sun in there too. So, anyways. So we didn't get too much stuff here, but I saw a couple different things in here. I wanted to do my little value, transitioning value type of technique with this here. Let's do something on this too. Let's just splatter paint this and give it a little bit of like a snowy type of look like the other one. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Amazon has replacement pads for inks. Yeah, if you ever have Marvy inks, okay. If you can find a foam pad, that I forgot what that was. It was something one, that website out there. But I think maybe they were out of the Marvy pad, but the pad that they were replacing the Marvy pad with for people, sometimes unbeknownst to them, I think, they just sent out the other brand pad, or maybe it was a different color of ink or something like that. But the foam one would work really good. Okay, but here's the thing though. If you only need a pad, like the pad material, if you're making impressions, okay? Like, I have a bunch of my re-inker inks right here in just this big tray, okay? And, like the mementos right here. I don't have pads for these ink things because when I'm inking up and I'm layering my ink down in there, I'm just putting a few drops of it onto my applicator. So if it's sponges, in my case, paper towels a lot of times, yeah, you don't need an actual pad, right? I would probably index somewhere on there. I'm real familiar with a lot of these colors right here. Well, the distressings have kind of the color that they are. But if they're like Marvy ones or something like that, just get a little ink off it and put like a swatch on the side of your pad or your bottle so you can kind of see what colors they are. But yeah, see, if you just get the re-inker and not the actual foam pad, and if it's just for coloring purposes, if you're on a budget and you have X amount of, whatever funds to spend on new inks, then you can just bypass the pad, which usually costs about the same as the re-inker bottle, and the re-inker bottles always hold like, I don't know, 5-10 times the amount of ink that's in the pad. You can get twice as many colors for your money. most of the times, the ink, colors that you're stamping out images with, it's like black, and I don't know, maybe two or three others or something like that. No, like my cloud up here, I stamped it out in blue. I like that. But like hot pink and stuff like that, and super bright oranges and reds. I'm not, usually not stamping out imagery in those colors a lot of times, but it's worked into my color schemes through the blending process right there. But anyway. Something like that. And again, this one's not finished right here, but I don't know, a couple different little techniques like this. Oh yeah, where's that other golden one? Already lost the gold one here. I thought, man, was I only working on 2 pieces here? This live stream tonight. So this one I still need to be a little bit careful about because it's still a little bit wet here. But that gold on, or the white on gold is really fun. This is that same gold here that I would matte this one off with. I don't know, kind of frame it off. But here's like 3 different little techniques right here. Like this one right here, it's like a double page type of thing, and it's fairly large, but those types of things can go pretty fast. This one's like you're not working with a ton of different colors, so it was just kind of blending in, 3 tones of blue. And this one right here, the opposite of this one, instead of stamping just your imagery in black and then, adding some little grayscale underneath it or something like that, it's just doing it in white. But that really helped up there in terms of some other type of object to kind of, it's not balancing it out, but it's like supplementing it, I think, and then that white texturing in there really helped out too. And again, I would use, I'll probably add in some little crystals into this one, which I think will be fun. Let's see here. Toner foiling. Okay, yeah. We might have to think about that one, Sharita. I think we can do some cool things, huh? Potentially with the imagery with foils. Can you imagine these trees like done like in a transitioning like holographic or something like that? That would be pretty cool, I think. Okay, your pads got trashed from years of teaching kids stampers. Yeah, I hear you. Oh, so what people did was they got that. You don't want to hear this now if you trash the pads, but maybe you won't want to have to hassle with this though. But you got that crafting foam. I think it was Ranger. Does anyone remember? We've talked about this in past live streams, but they got that crafter's foam. I think that's what they called it. And they just cut it out into this cube. And someone told me, I think they told me that they adhered the foam down. They got the old foam out that was all gummed up and stuff, just removed it however they removed it, some kind of knife or X-Acto or putty knife or something like that. And they put that new foam in there. So I think someone told me, am I thinking of double stick tape? But I thought, I'm sure someone mentioned Gorilla Glue. Oh, maybe they might have been talking about the Clear Snap color box stylus tools for that. But I don't know. But they also adhered that new foam into the pad somehow. Maybe it was Gorilla Glue too. I'm not sure because they said it was waterproof, and dye-based inks being water, it won't put the whatever adhesive back into solution with where the foam's kind of falling off of it. But I thought, I don't know. I thought they said it worked just fine. In terms of kind of reviving that that Marvy case, I guess. If they wanted to keep it within the case like that. But yeah. Let's see. How about expired Marvies and the entire set? Oh man, yeah. Wait, did you mention that, Michelle, or did someone post that? I think someone. That sounds really familiar. So the Marvies too, especially if you got these embossed ones, if you see like these for sale somewhere and they're like unopened or brand new, I probably wouldn't, unless it was like like 50 cents each or something like, or less or something like that, I wouldn't buy these ones. But if they have the sticker on those, these are the newer ones. But even the newer ones could be at this point in time 20 years old. Maybe more. I'm not sure. Okay, this one was semi-gloss right here. And yeah, both of these are semi-gloss right here. I should have done this one on the glossy cardstock right here. I had some cut out, but I don't know, I didn't even think about it. But see, this one right here, so it looks really flat, It does have a little bit of a satiny kind of finish to it. I don't know if you can see that there. But sometimes this paper right here is a really good, I mentioned it, it's a good kind of compromise because you can do your dye-based inks on here. They look fairly bright, like, that one up there too, that sun and stuff like that. But you can do like these types of washy things on here because the paper is going to be more porous than like a glossy cardstock. I don't think I can even put that pencil down like that. If I was doing that on glossy, I don't think of it, but maybe instead of doing watercolor like looks like that, like I said, maybe you do like, some grayscale, applications with alcohol pens on glossy, then use your blender pen and stuff like that to give it that kind of real fluid, washy look on there. So, you can go for the same types of looks, just with different media maybe. But again, these ones also take like colored pencils, like I said. So I don't know. It's not because I think one's better. I don't know. I used a glossy cardstock, like exclusively for like, I don't know, like the first 25 years of my stamping life. And I still love it, but I don't know. I'm really enjoying the usage of some like 30-year-old barrel Prismacolor pencils. So it's like, I was mentioning, it's like dipping into your supplies that you've had sitting around. It's like, okay, maybe I should try those out, just like all my different papers and metallic papers that I had amassed at one time. So I just wanted to find out a way to use them. It's like, oh, hey, that worked pretty good. So that's when I started remembering things like brilliance inks and StazOn inks that can dry on those non-porous types of papers. But yeah, these two right here, the semi-gloss. So again, the semi-gloss, a wide variety of media that can be used on it. Not glossy, of course, looking, but you can spray seal this with a gloss. Or if you want it to look really glossy, you can spray it with like a Krylon triple thick too. I don't think it'll ever look as like super smooth as like a glossy cardstock, but you can get that nice sheen on there and reflective, type of surface quality with, your Krylons. Or I don't know, if you can't find like Krylon, like art sprays, you can go to Home Depot and pick up like a urethane too, and use that. Let's see. There's a lot of Distress ink. I love my Distress watercolor pencils. I don't have the Distress watercolor pencils. Yeah, I forgot those were even around, Sheila. But yeah, I really love my Distress inks. I need to get some re-inkers that I ran out of. I ran out of not peeled paint, tumbled glass, and antique linen. I really like those. The antique linens are really fantastic base layer color. You can use an antique linen in here, like on a blue colored scheme. And I've done demonstrations of that where, where you're doing a completely cool color scheme, but you use like a really pale, warm tone. It doesn't have to be the Distress ink antique linen, but just any type of kind of warm, really light value tone, like, like the Memento Desert Sand would be okay too. It'd be better if I had this in a re-inker fluid if I'm doing it as a base layer that's covering a lot of things. But, that Memento in here would probably be pretty cool. It would, instead of it just being a stark white, it would be like a little bit of a warmer tinge in here. And that's I always say this, but that's what you do usually. Like if you're taking like a oil painting class, instead of starting with a white canvas, I'm talking about like a beginning painting. Not doing something like real specialized, like we're gonna, you know, mimic Van Gogh or something like that, where it's all like impasto and big, thick, palette knife brush strokes or something like that. But just traditional layered oil paints, working thin to thick or something like that. But what you do is you wash out your entire surface with like a warm tone, and you build up all your colors and paints, or whatever you're painting on top of that. But you start off with that. So you can do the same type of thing on these types of things like this, and it'll give it a little bit of a warmer glow than something like this. This one looks, without that, addition of any kind of warmth in here. It has a little bit of a, it's stark, So if I wanted some warmth in there, I can still do that. You can bring some of it into the trees or something like that. But if you give it as just a general base layer, it can look really good. And more full sometimes because you have a wider temperature spectrum in there. Okay, the blank Marvy ink pads, I think they had them at Marco's, but I know they had them at that. Michelle, if you email me later, I'll see if I have it bookmarked or something like that on my other computer. But it was something like, it wasn't called One Stop, was it? Does anyone know that? If anyone knows it, they don't want to tell people that either, because there's a finite amount of them. Oh, no, that One Stop did not have the blank pads. They ran out because they were sending out those other ones. Okay, I just remembered. But you can try it Googling something like Marvy matchables blank replacement pad or something like that, or blank ink pad, and see if anything comes up. I don't know if anything will, because not a lot of people sold those to begin with, and they stopped carrying them or stopped manufacturing them like years ago at this point in time. But I thought I saw them somewhere fairly recently, and I might be thinking about Marco's re-inkers or that other One Stop. If that's, I don't know if it was called One Stop. It was called something like that. One something or Stop, like that. I'm sorry about, I don't remember all this offhand. Let's see. Glad you like them, Linda. Yeah, the moose really added something down there, huh? It needed it. It's something, we needed something to balance out. We can have some other things in here too, something kind of textural or something like that. Or maybe, like I said, a little bit of warmth in here I think would be pretty cool. Or I don't know, maybe I need to go a little bit more extreme and kind of like blank out that back one tree. Maybe these two right in here, and make them like really like grayscale, because those ones right up here aren't too different from here, which might be fine, but I think a little bit more variation would be cool, and then like some kind of quote stamp up there would be good. I'll have to check that out, or a word stamp. I like the quotes though with these ones like this to make it more contemplative. It's more poetic or something like that, having like that quote stamp up there. You can put, if you had, I wouldn't have like a lot of space up here. It's, I'm going to be limited to what I've left up here, but like a poem on these ones right here is really fun too. So if you have like a poem stamp or something like that you can put up there, that would be interesting. Linda has the crayons, so the reason for saying Ranger has discontinued that product. Wait, what have they discontinued? I'm sorry, I'm reading like past things up here, so I wasn't sure what that was in context to, or who you were answering, Cynthia. All these things are getting discontinued, we don't like to hear that. We want to hear it, but we don't like hearing that, of course, if it's something we liked. Don't tell me that they like discontinued like distress inks or something like that. Yeah. The antique linen and tumbled glass, aren't they great? They're really, that really super light, Sometimes I've wondered, I don't know, what do you use it for? I use it for those base layer colors. So something like this on here, if I had a bunch of tumbled glass like in my re-inker fluid, I, I I need that by like the pint though, because I go through that little tiny. That's why I haven't rebought it, because I use it as a base layer. So I put that tumbled glass under all of that blue, and I think it would make it glow a little bit more, especially if you seal this off. You can see through the layers of all these transparent colors that you've added up there like that. But thanks, Janie. They discontinued the foam pad paper. Oh. Okay, so wait. Okay, so here's my question: is there any other? We got all these stamping minds in here with a lot of knowledge. Is there a replacement for that foam pad paper product, like from a different company? I need to know these types of things so that I can kind of answer people when they ask me that, even though if I haven't used these types of things before. That's a tough one though, because that's a really specific type of thing, isn't it? Cut and dry pad. Is that Distress Ink by Tim Holtz? Yes, it is. So some of the things by Tim Holtz, I think, like, there's a lot of colors, that weren't necessarily like Tim created, I don't think. Like he did those distress inks, which really filled. What the thing that I like about those distress inks when they came out was I felt like they filled a niche, or like a not a niche, but like a gap in the ink world. Like every ink company, I wouldn't say every, but it seemed like the brighter the better in inks, okay? And I didn't mind that because that's all we had, so I wasn't thinking about it. But then the distress ones came out, so they were a duller on the intensity spectrum level than, like, say, your Marvy inks. And a lot of inks by other companies, they just wanted them super bright because, those are attention getting, and those ones are probably the ones that sell the most. But kind of those more mellow tones like that, the aged look, weathered, colors out there on that spectrum, they really filled that gap. And then a bunch of other colors, companies started coming out with stuff similar. Like even Marvy's Heritage inks. Does anyone remember those Heritage ones? I didn't even have any of them. But I think those ones were a response to the Adirondack pads. Okay, so Adirondacks were before the Tim Holtz distress ones too. So those Adirondack ones were more of those earthy versions of a lot of the different hues that were already out there. They're like, the colors in between, your basics, So it'd be like I don't know, Marvy had plum too, but it's it's a little bit of a brighter one, but like a plum instead of like a magenta, a super bright magenta or something like that. Or there might be like instead of like a bright orange, they might, Adirondack would have like, I don't know, what were some of those other colors called? It wasn't like there was like instead of like purple, like a bright purple, like a real clean one, it would be like eggplant, So those were kind of cool. So so Ranger kind of, they were, aiming for those gaps within the ink world, which I really like. And then the distress inks ones kind of took it to another level and went farther into that dull, but not, not dull in terms of interest, but dull in terms of intensity spectrum on that intensity range, which I really liked. And so they really balanced out my Marvy pads really nicely. So yeah, I really like that for that. All right, so anyways, some pieces right here. I'll get these matted up right here. I didn't mat up everything from last week, but I don't know, I don't know if I have room. And you know what I almost never do? I never take a word stamp and stamp it kind of like like on its side like this, vertical like that, you know, so it'd be, say something like this. I think that would be okay. You know, I could probably stamp like a white moonlight like that or something like that on the edge like that. And I think that would be kind of cool rather than going this way. Because it's like a, I don't never thought to do that before. It'd have to be kind of longer though, not just like a moon, because I have that too. But something like here might be kind of interesting. I don't know, I'll figure it out. And again, something up here. Up here, I don't know what I'll do with this one. This one right here, it still might benefit from some kind of overhanging limb or something like that up here. I don't know, I'll think about it. But anyways, you know, you can check these out when they're finished and matted off. I'll post those on Facebook. And if you like the looks, I'd recommend giving it a try. Pretty simple types of techniques, but, you know, really effective for what they're kind of going for. I don't know, whatever depth, negative space, and just, you know, really, I don't know, whatever elegant simplicity or something like that, but, you know, texturally really full. So absence of color, but full of texture. And maybe the texture is kind of emphasized on that without having, you know, so much stuff going on in the background. I don't know. Maybe it's kind of doing that or more effectively, like, you know, all those little dots up there show up better on something like that than on this, of course. So, yeah. If you're using to replace worn out Marby pads, it was the best. Oh, I have not heard anything that comes close to, oh man. We didn't want to hear that one, Cynthia. But if that is the case of that, then if anyone wants that type of material, instead of searching like whatever, you know, unless you have like a stamp store near you, if you're checking it out online, Amazon, instead of Amazon and whatever, Joann's and stuff like that for that type of thing. Or, you know, the different, you know, private websites out there that carried a lot of that stuff. You start looking at like things like eBay, you know, and Etsy for those things. That's what I looked for people that really, really wanted the color box stylus tools. Sometimes I still get questions about it, so I'll check out eBay. And sometimes, you know, you'll see a pack of it being sold on there. I don't know about the pads and the foam anymore, but then, see, I used to direct them. I think that was that the foam that they were using for the color box stylus tools, now that I think about it too? Oh my gosh. If that was the same thing, then that might have been. They may have been two different things though. Okay. But yeah, so I'll direct them to, I don't know, whatever, some of those foam. They haven't been asked that for a while, so I'm not sure if that was it. Distressed crayons. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Bonnie. All right, folks. Thanks for joining in. In 2024! Exclamation! Oh my gosh! Final Friday Night Live of the year. Shocking. Next live. Next live and next year. Yeah, we'll see you next year. We'll see you in 2025. You know. Aren't we supposed to all be in like hovercrafts and like you know, with like satellite colonies on the moon by now? All right, folks. Yeah, have a great Happy New Year. We'll see you on the New Year's Eve live marathon coming up, where we'll all be stamping for 24 hours into the new year. We'll try that some year. All right, folks. Have a great rest of evening. Thanks again for joining in.